Hi everyone, this is Jack from Jack's Literary Corner. It is time for another episode where we talk about my favorite episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? So, this particular episode, I thought I would just do this by itself. This episode is like it's not a classic in a traditional sense, as it's not necessarily that scary or creepy of an episode. It's scary in the sense that it's fantastical kind of scary, like something you would read in a fantasy book. And that episode is The Tale of the Bookish Babysitter, narrated by one of my favorite members of the Midnight Society, Mary Beth. She tells a lot of quirky, weird stories. She's the one who told the Laughing in the Dark episode. She told the tale of the Ghastly Grinner. She told the tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. She told another episode called The Tale of the Doll Maker, which I will talk about that one as well. She told quite a few really good. The Tale of the Whispering Walls is another one good one that she told. A lot of creepy, sometimes whimsical, and very unique episodes. It's hard to pinpoint the kind of storyteller she is, but they're definitely a lot of my favorite episodes are her episodes. And this is The Tale of the Bookish Babysitter. So I thought this is like the perfect episode for people who love books, or are passionate about books. But what happens to the protagonist is not something that, unfortunately, it's something that wouldn't happen to people who actually appreciate books, because that's not the point of this person. It's not the point of the magic in this world. This magic is supposed to help people who don't appreciate books learn to appreciate them. Okay, so you have our main protagonist, Ricky Winters, who was such an annoying little prick. I wanted to smack him sometimes. I couldn't stand that kid. And his mom, who is a real estate agent. If you know anything about real estate agents, they get pretty busy. So it was, she needed to hire a babysitter for him. And of course, Ricky's response is, "Mom, I'm 12 years old." Yeah, you're a 12-year-old, and yeah, you're a 12-year-old little punk. So she hears about this fabulous babysitter both parents and kids love, Belinda, and she hires her. So Belinda shows up, all eager to meet Ricky and very excited, and she tries to bond with him, interact with the kid, but this is a kid who spends most of the time sitting on the couch, eating junk food. Maybe the closest to reading he gets is reading a comic book. Which, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the most reading he's probably ever done. Like, he's never actually read a full-length novel, probably in his life. So, he's sitting there watching TV, and she's trying to get to know him, and she even, tries to bond with him by commenting on his cool shirt, which, it's something that probably from a band or something. I can't remember. I don't know if he actually got to the part of the sentence because he ended up, when he realized, of course, that she was trying to bond with him, he's like, I don't want to bond with you. That is so creepy. My door does this weird thing where it just will randomly open. Maybe there's a ghost. Maybe I have a ghost that's attached to me. So Ricky, our Belinda decides to make a deal with Ricky. She says, I can't remember if it was if he reads a page of a book, or if he reads one book or something, then she'll leave him alone. And, I hate this kid. I want to smack him in this scene. Oh my god, I want to shake him. Of course, he won't, he's supposed to be, I think he's supposed to be kind of annoying and a smartass, and does the smartest du jour and everything. So every time he starts reading, he picks up the first book, and he starts reading the first sentence, and then every time he picks up, several books at once. And at different, he'll start a sentence, and every time he stumbles, he's like, "Oh, this is stupid, this book is boring," and just throws away, just because he stumbled on a sentence. It's like, really? I know yes, it's true that the first sentence is supposed to hook you, but this is a kid who doesn't, it's like, those were good. I wanted to read those books just by hearing the first sentence. They sounded so interesting. It's like, really? You know boring? You know what boring is? Boring? That does not mean it's boring. Just because you think it's boring does not mean it's boring. And every time he reads a sentence, you hear howling wind, a knock at the door, the moaning of a ghost, or, in the background behind them, the audience sees a hand creeping around the corner. It's like, it's such subtle little things, and that's the other thing that stops him, is if he hears a sound, and, Belinda's like, dismisses it, and is like, keep going, keep going, you're doing good, and then he's like, oh, this is boring. It's like, seriously, kid? So then, Belinda's like, oh, you shouldn't stop reading, because once you stop reading a book, once you start a book, you have to finish it. And then, he's once again like, oh, this is so stupid, I'm gonna go to my room, and she's like, oh, I want to go out there if I were you, and his smart-ass response is, well, good thing you're not me. It's like, I want to smack that kid. He was so disrespectful to Belinda, and she was so nice to him. So, he goes to his room, and, is playing his video game, just chilling on his bed, and then there's a shadow looming over him, and he thinks it's Belinda, and he looks up, and there's a knight looming over him with you just see the helmet, and he has a sword, and is ready to chop off Ricky's head, so he takes off running, but you can't blame him. I mean, there's a knight standing in the middle of my bedroom with a knife, with a sword, looming over me, then yeah, I'm gonna freak out and run out of my room. And then he comes in and runs down the hallway, and there's a ghost gliding across the hallway, getting closer and closer, and, being, moaning and stuff, and he's freaking out, goes running into his living room, and he sees Belinda there, and this is, of course, a little suspicious, but, this kid is terrified, for one, and he also doesn't really appreciate books, but he sees Melinda tearing up her books, and she's trying to explain to him that, I know what's following you, and, you have to stop. The only way to stop these guys is if you burn the books. So, of course, he's eager, and he's, like I said, he's completely terrified. You can't blame him. And he's, and he, like I said, he doesn't appreciate the value of books and words. So this, to him, makes perfect sense. It's like, seriously? Why are you destroying these precious books? Not only are you destroying books, but these came from trees. You're wasting perfectly good paper. Well, I guess not, because they're helping the fire grow. I don't know, because, I know when you go camping, I think you can if you throw things like paper and stuff in a fire, it will help it. But anyway, that's not the point. So, and then next thing, he hears someone rattling the door, trying to get in because the living room has doors. And he hears Belinda's voice, and he's freaking out because he thought Belinda was in the room, and he hears her outside. And then she bursts in the room, and he turns around, and there's the ugly cackling witch. She's like, ha ha ha, and, it's only your imagination. And tries to, attack him, so they go running in the living room. And by the way, I'm just going to tell you the whole episode. Okay, so, spoiler. So they go running into the kitchen, and then block the door with, I guess this thing was a galley kitchen. I guess it was a galley kitchen, because there's no way a 12-year-old boy and a young woman, 20-something woman, could move that island and block the door. There's no way. I'm going to watch, when I'm done filming this, I'm going to watch the episode again, but I think it was one of those island things that, that you have on the kitchen, and sometimes you can eat on, or you can cook on. But there's no way they can move that. So, they push it in front of, they block the door, and she's like, okay, Ricky, you got all these, explains to them, you got all these stories mixed up, but since you burned my books, you have to figure this out, because this is your story, so you make it up. So he comes with the dumbest thing, which is, bad stuff happens, and then it all goes away. It does not go poof, just like that. It does not. And then, even in a movie or in a TV show, wouldn't it just magically go away? Your characters always have to find a way to slowly get to the part where they stop the bad guys, or they solve the problem, or they save the day, or whatever. It does not magically just go away just like that. You don't have bad stuff happen, and all of a sudden, everything just, poof, stops, goes away, it's done. We saved, it does not happen like that. Not even in a movie. But I guess, again, Ricky was terrified, trying to, make, he was scared, trying to, didn't want to deal with this kind of stuff. So they go running into the basement when the witch finally breaks into the kitchen. They go running down to the root cellar, and once again, Belinda tries to encourage him to, okay, it's your story. You gotta do it. You gotta figure this out. You gotta, this is your story. You use your imagination. Get creative. Exercise your brain. And then, he thinks of something which, seriously, I mean, this doesn't even make sense. This doesn't even make, it sounds like something out of a stupid Ren and Stimpy cartoon, or a, Fairly Odd Parents cartoon thing, and that is an Uzi. He says his Uzi appears and to help him defeat all the nasty bad stuff that happens. Really? The best you can do? That's seriously his Uzi? Is that even a word? Tell me if that is a word or an actual name of some kind of weapon in real life. Please tell me that. But that does not even sound like a real thing. And, of course, Belinda points out that wouldn't happen in the story. I mean, it sounds like something out of a TV show or science fiction movie. So, then he recalls, he notes her, that there's this book, this other book that she's been holding, that she keeps looking at it when Ricky's not looking. And she tries to, he tries to snatch it from her, she tries to pull away, but there's that little smirk on her mouth that she knows something. That, especially when, So he snatches the book. He ends up getting the book from her, opens it, and it looks empty. And the next thing you know, Ricky looks around and just surrounding, looks up and looks at his surrounding, and he's in this dank dungeon. He's no longer in his comfortable suburban household. And then as every action he takes, looking around, his thoughts, what he's thinking out loud, the things he says, the words appear on the pages of the book. So everything just starts happening, the book literally writes itself. Which is so cool. I think that's so cool. I wish I had a book like that. Of course, my life isn't that interesting anyway, so. But, I guess, though, if the book will transport you when you open the book and try to read it, if it transports you into another world, then that would be awesome. I think that would be such a cool thing to have. So then, the knight appears. The mysterious knight magically appears, getting ready to attack him. And as everything is happening, the book is writing itself. So it's the knight is looking for a sign. That's the only way to protect himself. So, and of course, like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, that Belinda tries to bond with Ricky by pointing at his shirt. Talking about how she thinks it's really cool. And then he realized that is the sign, because the knight is doing the exact same thing that is on his shirt. But the sword on his shirt, a sword is being pointed, is sticking up in the air. So he realized this is the sign. So the knight presents him the sword, and then he defeats him. Which, I mean, unfortunately, it's a 30-second episode, so that's the best they could do. They couldn't really do anything like actual fighting, and plus, I don't think that kid would be a good fighter anyway. I mean, unfortunately, the kid is not. He's kind of chubby, and he spent most of his time sitting on the couch watching movies and probably eating junk food. The most he'll get up is the most walking he'll do is when he goes to school. So and then he's reading the book trying to figure out what to do next. And he of course realized now that he has the sword, he's supposed to defend this tomb to his death. And naturally, he doesn't want to do that, which is understandable. His reaction of, I don't want to defend anything to the death and dropping the sword. Yeah, I don't blame him. I probably react the same way. So, then all of a sudden he's reading this book. The cute little girl, blonde girl, shows up looking like she's from colonial times, carrying a candle, looking like she's from a Charles Dickens novel. And, is, I'm lost. Can you please help me? Can you please put down that book? And, of course he's like, look, if I knew how to get out of here, I'd tell you. And she asked me, will you please put down that book? And then, of course, he realizes that, with the help of the book, he realizes that this girl does not seem like she fits in the story. She looks like she's from another time. So all of a sudden she transforms into the witch. Which, this part kind of bugged me, but this is a kid's show. So of course it's not going to have anything, that a kid can't handle. And that is, when he takes the sword and slices her in half, but she doesn't bleed red, she bleeds green ooze. So, and the first thing I thought when I watched that was the slime. I knew the slime stuff on Nickelodeon, so maybe they used leftover slime for that part. Because it just, that kind of bugged me, but I guess because I'm an adult, so it's like, as an adult, I'm thinking, so I was like thinking, oh, I was kind of disappointed by that, though, but then it's a kid's show, so, of course they're not going to use real blood, it'll be too traumatizing for a kid. So then, all of a sudden, he sees the ghost, she's like, I'm melting, ah! And then, so the ghost comes gliding across, moaning and groaning, and then the ghost transforms and has been set free, and he's defeated the witch and saved, and, has gotten the sword of truth, and has defeated the witch, and he saved the king. He's been released. And then Ricky is back in his own living room, and now he's learned his lesson. He will not live his life in woeful ignorance ever again. So this is such a great episode. I mean, special effects wise and the acting, it's okay. But, and like I said, I didn't like how the witch bled green. I thought that was kind of weird. But again, this is a 30-minute show for kids. So they couldn't really do anything really. This is the coolest we could go. And some of the episodes are actually really in the show. Some of the episodes are kind of creepy, and it shows that there was a time when parents weren't as protective of what kids watched. And as someone I watched who was reviewing episodes from the show was saying that this is a good transition show. Good from the kiddie stuff to it's like for teens. So it's a good transition between kids and adult horror. Because it's creepy enough, but it's still, realizes I'm dealing with a young audience. So I have to be careful what I put on the screen. But this was such a great episode because, like I said, the idea of opening a book and all of a sudden, as you're reading the book or just opening it, you get transported into the world of the story. Not just by, in your imagination, but you literally get transported. That is such a cool concept. I love that idea. Belinda is such a cool character because, the fact that she is the keeper of these books that will do that. And like I said, I was so interested just by when he was reading the stories and hearing them and, getting a little information on each story that he was reading, that he attempted to read. Those stories were interesting and I wanted to read them. Like Ricky, I wanted to look for those books at the library. Unfortunately, and I don't even know if books like that would be at my library, actually. But it was it's such a cool concept. And then another thing I liked was, like I said, and again, as I was saying, Belinda's such a cool character. Not only because she has these books, but also you gotta admire the woman to have put up with kids like Ricky, because I'm sure Ricky's not the first kid that she's had to put up with that acts like a little punk or brat that you just want to smack. No matter how smart alecky he was, no matter how rude he was to her, she still happy. She didn't snap at him. She didn't never got mad at him or never got frustrated with him. I love characters like that. You know, in movies where you have that character who is still optimistic and will still be nice to a person just because even though the other character is being rude and a jerk. Like, they're still very optimistic and happy and nice and stuff, and always friendly, being like, and they, you know, I mean, I imagine if you were the person who was getting bitchy and getting mean and stuff, that you probably get a little annoyed by those type of people. Because there are times when I have these, you know, I get a little cranky and mean and stuff, and yeah, I would get a little, you know, it gets frustrating when the other people, even my friends, are more optimistic and, you know, they are amused by me and my frustration when, you know, I would rather you get angry with me. And it's like, I mean, and I'm sure I've been on my friends have felt the same, and I'm sure there are times when my friends feel the same way. You know, where I'm in a good mood and they're frustrated and angry about something, and they're mad, and, you know, you're like, you're amused by their frustration or something. Not in a mean way, but, you know. But she put up with quite a bit from this little punk. He was so rude to her, and it was like, and like I said, I wouldn't be able to put up with a 12-year-old boy. I could never be a babysitter. And plus, her hairstyle was kind of cool too, you know. And I kept thinking that she might have been like related to the woman from the Ghastly Grinner, because they both are blonde. But of course, you know, just because they're both blonde doesn't mean there's any connection. But this is, of course, you know, there's a lot of times where with these kids shows people form connections because the animation is similarly done. Like, I watched a video recently where they had a lot of crazy theories about old Nickelodeon shows, or like the characterization of a character change, and people just make these crazy theories like, oh, maybe this character died, or this is that character when they're all grown up, or, you know, they just come up with some silly, or this is all a dream or something, or this is a reality show. I mean, those were some literally explanations for these shows. You know, why I think maybe there were aspects of the show that changed, like the writers left or something, or like, you know, the actor left the show, or like for Are You Afraid of the Dark, they said that all these kids were ghosts, and that's why they were able to stay up real late, you know, in that secret hiding place in the woods, and that their parents didn't care. But this was such a good episode, and it was like such a cool concept. I really like, and for all the bookworms out there, which is hopefully everyone watching my channel, you should definitely check out that episode if you watch Are You Afraid of the Dark. I mean, there are still some things about it that are just, you kind of roll your eyes, or you can tell it's like 90s and everything like that. But still to me, it's a classic in its own way. So, if you guys like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up and click subscribe, and if you haven't already, I hope you are still enjoying your reading, and I will see you all later. Alright, bye!